Wow, look at that. And by some modern technology, we managed to show up on the screen. So I think I'm going to call tonight's episode The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Volunteer to be the ugly.
And the good is that we have a great cast of characters on the panel tonight. And Chuck's joining us again, which is fantastic. And we have Gustavo, who's preparing for a future bon voyage somewhere in the universe, which will be. We got Mr. Stewart, who normally is in another universe, literally. We never know where. He's always looking at the stars and looking at the aurora. So we never know where he may be week to week. And then Roy lives down under, and once in a while they take the covers off of him and they let him out.
Not very often.
Not very often. So we'll do a quick rundown and say hi to the people that are here right now. We got 16 people, according to my little doodad on my screen. So we got Michael Drees in here, which is great. Hello, Michael. And we've got Terry, another one down under. And let's see. We got Albert. Hello, Albert. Good to see you. And Bob Our Photos is here. Randall. Hello, Randall. If you want to pop in, you're welcome as always.
Is Robert R?
Robert R is in here. Hello to Robert. And let's see.
Cooley.
Cooley's in the house.
And another Robert.
And another Robert, Mr. Varner. And that's it for now. So we're caught up, and we'll wait till we get a few more people in here, and then we will start with the festivities, and it'll be an interesting night. That's sure it will be. We got Tim Hunter that's here, which is good. Hello, Tim.
Jeff and Leslie.
Jeff and Leslie, and Mookie is in here, and wow, we're flying. We're flying tonight. Things are moving fast here. We got a lot of things to talk about.
Kids, and Randall is in the green room.
Ah, okay. Well, Randall, we will put you in the on the stadium seating here in a second. There we go. And hello, Randall. How you doing? Right now we can't hear. We can see you, Randall, but we cannot hear you. We are your Silence of the Lambs.
Okay, we're back to the silent movies.
There you good.
Yeah, Mac OS has messed me up again. So
Hey, it's got to do something, right? It's either broken or it works, or it's broken or it works.
all this new security stuff is just driving me crazy. If it's not Mac OS, it's Windows.
But,
Glad you're suffering both and not me.
we got a full staff in here tonight, which is good. Has anybody heard from Mr. Maddox at all? We haven't seen him in a while. Has anybody been in contact with him? I don't know if he's vacationing or.
He said he was taking some time off.
Okay.
He's into electric car now, so he's been doing some videos on that.
Okay.
So he's been playing with that, and of course.
Okay.
All right, so everybody know I'm not going to send any emails because I don't have any. It takes me a long time to make the mail, but you're all getting, everybody in the chat is getting a great happy. So there. Sorry.
It's all right.
That's okay.
We got you echoing, Chuck, for some reason.
It sounds good, but it sounds like from
I
the
mean,
beyond.
it's nice and clear and loud enough, but it has an echo.
He's in a cathedral.
He's
He's in a reverb.
he's in the back cave, is what it is. So, well, we got 18 in here. I guess we'll talk. I'll get started here. Let me get some of my notes.
You only have 9 likes.
Give me a second here. I want to thank everybody first off for participating. For those who participated in last week's photo review, as always, it was exceptional, as it always is, and we made an attempt to get people to vote on 3 favorite images, and we're going to have more of a discussion about that in a little bit, and let you know how that's going or not going.
Exactly.
And I'll remind everybody and put it on the screen now about the next photo review way ahead of time, because as always, I don't care if you send them in early. If you have them, send them in early. Myself personally, I thought I had caught up on working on images and whatnot, and I was completely wrong. And so I have some more files I have to go through myself. So I'm not ready to pick 4 images for the next show. But if you're one of the lucky ones that already has 4 that you want, send them in anytime. Next show is November 2nd. So get them in by November 1st, and we would appreciate that. The other things here are, I got a few funny things for Chuck, because I was hoping Chuck was going to show up tonight, because I'm going to share with him a couple screenshots of a few things that I saw that I think Chuck would like to have in his house. So I am going to share those on the screen here, and hopefully he gets a kick out of it. So the first one is, I think this definitely fits Chuck very well. He's easily distracted.
Cats and families, yeah.
Now the next one. Let's see here. Is this just so we know, and Chuck already knows this in terms of who's in charge. If you don't like cat hair, stay off the sofa. When you're visiting, the cat says, when you're visiting my house, remember, if you don't like cat hair, stay off the sofa. I live here. You are the guest. You will be sniffed and possibly licked. Deal with it. To you, I am the cat, but here I am the baby. They like me more than they like most humans. They love me. They're only friends with you. So that's what you got to deal with if you go into Noah's house right now, because Noah is running the roost, as they say.
He is, I'll tell you.
Yeah, have you heard that one, Chuck, about why do we know the earth is not flat?
Oh, no, I'm what?
Well, because it's not the cats who have thrown everything over the edge already. I don't know if your cat had that problem, but my cat here have obsessive with cardboard boxes. Y- You know, it's if you put a cardboard box that is open, the cats go in one way or the other.
Yeah.
They like boxes for whatever reason.
Yep. Yeah. He loves that. Cardboard boxes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have a stiff drink of Coke here for a second.
All right. Well, in the meantime, I'll tell you what. I just about pulled the. Well, first of all, I have made a taken a picture from the lowest time, but I was going to uh, get around and grab the 800, and I got is it me. Me is my fleet.
Still echoing, yeah.
Well, anyway, I was going on getting the 85, the 800, and just about pulled the trigger, but just held up because I was looking to at maybe I'm taking the pat. Maybe I think maybe 400 with the whatever.
TC.
Oh, with the TC.
Yes,
Oh my God, that's
I
a
don't
serious
know.
one.
I don't know. I mean, but one of the two, I'm ready. Get ready to
Oof.
buy.
All right.
I'm
The
gonna
400 TCs more versatile.
later in the show, I'll show you a tool that you can use to help make your decision. I'll leave it at that. I'll show you a tricky tool that you could use to make the decision for you.
All right.
But the 800 is a good companion to your 600.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly with a converter that 800 has a tremendous reach. Okay.
I was thinking, along that route, but I don't know. But
And it's a lot lighter. I can tell
Yeah.
you. If you compare my 800 with my 600 TC, wow. And I guarantee you the 400 TC is not going to be that much light than the 600.
yeah,
Very heavy
I'm not-
lens of 400.
yeah, I'm not too worried on the heaviness, but I'm definitely going to get one of the two.
Mm.
But
Well,
Well-
good. You let us know.
Yeah, well, hey, no, you do to be tricky is you don't tell us what you got right away until after you got it, and then you share a picture and you make us guess which lens took it.
I think I'm going to get it, but I'm just because it will take me out in the backyard and take pictures.
Beautiful.
No, well, Chuck, if you get the 800, you won't have to leave the house. You just open the door and shoot from the porch.
Just open up a window and stick it out.
Yeah.
We are talking about lenses, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's hope so.
I'm going to mute this for a minute, and I'm going to find out how I'm getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
To those in the chat, and I'm going to share some news that may surprise some people. It may upset some people. Some people may jump for joy. I don't know. But earlier in the week, I wrote a letter to my friends on the panel here that are continuing contributors to the show, announcing that after a lot of thought, literally over the last several months, if not longer, I've decided that I'm going to exit from YouTube permanently, including the live stream, this live stream effective 12/28/24 of this year, so the end of December. And I'm sure you want to know the reasons why. Let's just say, in the beginning, having a YouTube channel, the Selective Imagery YouTube channel, was to share my love of photography with other people. And prior to YouTube, I rarely really shared much with anybody. I mean, pretty much a pretty private person. I mean, I'm someone that can strike up a conversation with a stranger and probably talk for 2 hours to somebody that I just met, but I don't have a problem with communication or talking with people. But when it comes to sharing my work, it wasn't something that I usually did. And then when I retired and got more involved, had more time with photography, and I decided that maybe, having been taking pictures from a very young age, that maybe I could share something of value and maybe inspire some folks to dust off their gear and get out there and go shooting again. And I feel I accomplished what I wanted to personally. I don't have a lot to offer anymore that's new or exciting on my regular channel because, realistically, I mean, I'm not at that point, or maybe I never will be, where I do a lot of traveling and I can get a lot of different subject matter or content from different areas. So I think it was kind of getting a little bit repetitious. And I'll never really know, I suppose, if I really ever motivated or inspired anyone, but I hope that I did. Regarding this live stream, many of us have been around in this wonderful community for quite a few years, at this point, primarily thanks to the man who's fixing his microphone right now, Mr. Chuck Egan, who put together a channel where we could all get together and with a common interest in photography, and he was gracious to everyone, allowing anyone to go on the panel and participate and talk about whatever. And when Chuck suffered a stroke, myself and a cast of characters who are on this, many who are on this panel right now, stepped up to try to keep the show going while he was recovering. We're all pleased with his improvement. He's a determined person, and he's a heck of a great guy, and we all know that. We all care about him very much. So, but back to the reasons for hanging it up is I really didn't ever plan on doing this as a long-term event, and it's made me very happy. It occupies a considerable amount of time. Chuck knows that.
Yeah.
And I feel new ownership with a new direction is maybe warranted at this point. I mean, a lot of YouTube channels in general have dropped in terms of how many people are watching their content. But I think that, we have a very loyal and special group of people. We have 20 to 25 people every week who decide that, hey, instead of doing something with my wife or going out to the movies, I'm going to come on and talk with a bunch of people about photography every Saturday night. And I thank all of you for letting me into your home. And but I hope that whatever direction this show goes in the future, that it could get kicked up a notch. And as you know, monetization was never a goal in anything I've ever done on YouTube. And I can't ask for a better group of people to be surrounded by than those that you see both in the chat and on the panel. I want to I have a goal of making a photography coffee table book someday and getting it published. Obviously, that takes a lot of time. My wife's retiring early next year. I want to have more time to do things with her. I mean, it's a little easier to do a show like this now with her working full time, and I'm not interfering with what we do because she's working anyway when I'm doing a lot of the prep stuff. But when she retires, I don't want to be hiding in another room away from her. I want to do things with my spouse, and I want to expand my photo adventures and get more involved with the CNPA, the Carolina Nature Photography Association, that I joined, and be able to go on some weekend outings in North Carolina and different places to shoot waterfalls and moose and bears and stuff like that. But I picked the end of December because, everybody was very kind to contribute when I asked in July, have enough funds to support the channel until December. So that's where I'm going to end. And I'm going to help in any way before and after my departure. And there will be some discussion between myself and the panel members to see where we go from here. And all I can say is, when I'm not on the show anymore, I hope that people continue to reach out to me and talk to me and email me or share their phone number with me, and feel you are always welcome to contact me at any time about anything. And that will always be the case. And if you're ever in my neck of the woods, I will be severely insulted if you don't stop by and visit me and allow me to take you on a little photo tour for a day or half a day and show you my world where I live. And so probably after the election, I'll have a private restream with those on the panel that wish to come on, and we'll have some discussion, and we'll see, where we go from there. Now you guys know that come Christmas time, I usually do some kind of strange thing.
Don't tell us.
So I don't know if I will do one this year or not, but I actually did something strange for tonight's show. I, as you know, on my regular channel content, I have a section called "Thanks for the Memories," where I share vintage camera discuss vintage cameras. And I thought "Thanks for the Memories" is kind of a good name at this juncture in time. So I decided I'm pretty good with words, and I put something together. So you're going to get an original Jeff Neville poem here.
All right.
From "Thanks for the Memories." So we're going to start off here, and I'm going to, hopefully I don't, I make it through the whole thing here. So thanks for the memories of cameras that we've owned, of money that we've blown, on gear that fills our bags, of memories that we have, the friendships that we've made, the knowledge that we've gained, the sharing of our craft, a monthly thing at that. Fantastic stories we tell, of images we never sell, of gear we also covet, assuming we will love it. The joking all aside, as we share with all our pride, the hours that fly by with friends right by my side. We may not meet for real, but that isn't a big deal. Sometimes our paths may cross. If not, it's not a loss. Because we gather weekly, it satisfies completely. You're truly all my friends, and we shall meet again. May all your dreams come true, bring fame and fortune to you. Let's savor the time we have to tell stories happy and sad. A picture tells it best because it doesn't forget. It lasts beyond our years, and brings happiness and tears. Remember what we've shared, sometimes out of thin air. It's special, don't you know, like the people on this show. I'll say goodbye in 2 months' time, but we'll hang around, you see, because I love this crazy bunch that means so much to me. So let's have a good 2.5 months of shows. And
Wonderful, Jeff.
Really good.
and we'll move forward. We'll move forward with the show. Give me a second.
Let's hear it as a limerick.
As I said, they're speaking here on behalf of many. Yeah,
Well,
we appreciate you. Correct?
it's too time. You're not time to go, so don't quit. Okay.
Yep.
All
So
right.
let's move forward here. I got a notification from B&H Photo that on October 9th that the Laowa 10mm lens for the Z mount was back in stock at B&H, and I don't know for how long. So if anybody has an interest in that lens, you may want to go to their website and see if they still have some. Now, David, Mr. Stewart has that lens, and he's used that lens, and so if you have any questions prior to potentially making a purchase of that lens, either make a comment here in the chat and David could talk about it a little bit on this show, or I can send you his email if you want, and you can privately converse with him, whatever you want to do. But I think David's the only one out of the group here. Well, I don't know, Randall, do you have that lens too?
Not yet. I was looking at it.
Okay, so right now I think the only person that has that lens on the panel is David. So it's got very, 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 very good reviews, and if you are interested in it, definitely ask some questions of David. I'm going to do in a little while. I have a box opening to do on that lens that I talked about probably a few months ago. I got the No Nikkor Nocti 50mm f1.2 lens from Astra Labs, which is a Hong Kong company. So I'll do an unboxing live, and I'll be honest, I unboxed it already, but I put it back in the box so I could dramatize it. I did take it out of the box and I threw it on a camera. And so I have some initial impressions, and I'll share the specs, the price, and what I think of it so far. And then I will make a point in the next, say, couple weeks of taking a bunch of images with it at different settings and then sharing those images with you on the show so you can get a feel for the results with that particular lens. So we'll do that in a little bit. I'm going to jump back to the voting on the top 3 images now.
But that's it. That's all. People still have time to.
Yeah, you have till midnight tonight, or 11:59:59 to be exact, Eastern time, to make a vote on those images. Now it's we kind of have a disadvantage in trying to come up with these images, and for 2 reasons. We got 2 things that hurt. First, the number of images that we show, okay, because it dilutes the voting pool. Okay, we had 69 images to choose from, so that kind of dilutes things quite a bit. Makes it very hard for people to pick 3 images. And then we've kind of had a lack of participation up to this point. Okay, we've had 9 responses, of which 4 are from people on this panel. So that isn't exactly an ground-shaking amount of people voting. Right now, we have 2 images that are tied with 3 votes each, and 6 images tied with 2 votes each. So I'm going to explain to you how I'm going to break a tie here, because I'm not going to have a special show where we're going to do a a whole show about let's pick the 3 images type of thing. So what I'm going to do is I will show you an app that I put on my computer to solve this kind of problem. So give me a second to bring it up. And so I have the Wheel of Misfortune. So what I'm going to do is if I have a multitude of images that are tied for first place, I am going to create a custom wheel with just those numbers, and I will spin the wheel, and wherever it lands, that's the one that's going to be on the calendar. Then, like I said, right now we have 6 other images that are would be considered tied for the second and third slot, and I will put those images on the wheel if need be, and I will spin it twice to get the whatever the second and the third image is going to be. And the first image is the high image is going to be used for the a calendar for the month of November, and the other 2 images along with the first one will just show up in the thumbnail for the next photo review, and that's what we're gonna do, because I'm not gonna have a special show just to whittle down. We only have 3 votes for this and 2 votes for that, and a bunch of ones, and you know, I didn't want to make that a new job. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see what else we got here. Gustavo has something he's going to share tonight as well. He's got some information about tracking the comet and a shot that he took of the Aurora Borealis from his location. And we'll do that very, very shortly. I got a question for Roy here because he's gonna know this answer. I know he will. I was looking at old Nikon F3 HP camera bodies, and there was an F3 HP with what they called a double M pin registration back. What in the heck is that?
That's for a date. That's basically a data back.
It's a data back? Oh, just like time and date?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing special.
So that's what they called it in the early days, huh? A registration back.
Yes.
All right. That kind of threw me. That kind of threw me. Because I saw a picture of what that back looked like, and it was pretty.
It's just a chunky version of the normal back.
Yeah, it was very chunky. It stuck way out from the back of the camera. So it confused me as to what it really was, because it didn't look like what we're used to seeing for a data back, where you take the back cover off and you put the data back on, and it looks pretty sleek overall. This thing stuck out like a brick hanging off the back of the camera. So I was worried about that.
Best thing about the F3 is all the gadgets that comes with it.
Yeah.
It's even a Polaroid back for it.
Now we'll do a few rumors here. I'm only going to do a few of them, and then I'm going to let Gustavo share his.
Joey's in the.
Is Joey in the green room?
Yep. Somewhere.
Come on, Joey. I don't see you. I don't see you. For whatever reason.
Yeah, I sent in the link again.
Okay.
You always have to remind the forwarding emails that you want to include the link. So he got it.
Well, you know what? Let me fix this problem right now. Let me nip it in the bud, and throw the link right into the show. So here's the link, guys, for the show right there now. for anybody who wants to come on and whatnot. So a few of the rumors is I don't know how long this is going to last, but Nikon right now has a trade-in bonus of $500 on the purchase of a Z9, and so you get an additional $500 on top of what your trade-in value is. So if you have an interest in getting a Z9, and maybe you have a Z6 or something, and you want to trade it in towards a Z9 or whatever, you get that extra $500. The Nikon fall savings is still going on, as far as I know, from what I could tell. You can get $500 off a Z8. You can get $800 off the 800 millimeter PF. It's calling for you, Chuck. $800 off, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It ends tonight, right?
I'm not sure if it ends tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure.
Everything just keeps on doing this. Oh, you know.
Yeah, another sale after a sale.
Another sale after this one. They'll call it the pre-winter sale.
Yep.
And then the Santa needs to ship stuff and put stuff in his bag sale.
I've never seen Nikon do this.
You know.
Yeah, it's been all year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got 200 off the Plena, and they got a whole bunch more. And there's a whole long list that you could see from either your retailer of choice, and you could get a whole list of the pricing, or you can go on Nikon Rumors and see the list with the pricing as well.
Now he's in the green room.
Yeah.
And let's see, the last Z6 III firmware update made the camera compatible with the Next Storage NX-B2 Pro CFE Express cards. The complete list can be found on Nikon Rumors. You can get a free FTZ2 adapter with the purchase of a Z6 III. And on Nikon Rumors, they have a few videos. They have a Nikon Quick Tips video explaining VR modes. So if you're not familiar with or know everything about the different VR modes and when you may want to use one versus another, they do have a video on Nikon Rumors called Nikon Quick Tips on VR modes. And there's also an instructional video from Richie that's also on Nikon Rumors explaining how to set up the Nikon imaging cloud on the Z6 III camera body, which right now is the only Nikon camera body that apparently is working with the Nikon imaging cloud, as they are trying to fix things so that it can work with some of the other bodies. And I think somewhere in the Nikon Rumors thing, they threw out, I think, an October 24th date that they're hoping may fix some of those problems. I will share the rest of some of the Nikon Rumors stuff for a little bit later. And Gustavo, you feel comfortable sharing right now?
Yeah, I'm answering some stuff here. Keep talking for a little while.
I'll keep talking for a little while.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Due to technical difficulties, we will keep that. So Nikon and Red, they announced a deal to provide the USC School of Cinematic Arts with cameras and lenses. An assortment of mirrorless cameras, cinema cameras, and lenses will be donated to support a new generation of film students. So I didn't realize this. They said the school was founded with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences in 1929, and is one of the leading media schools in the world, offering programs in directing, producing, writing, cinema, and media studies, along with animation, digital arts, and much more. I didn't know that. So some of the equipment they donated will include the Red Komodo and the Komodo X digital cinema cameras, multiple Nikon Z6 IIIs, and an assortment of Nikkor Z Prime and Zoom lenses. And these new cameras and lenses will be used in the film and TV production and animation and digital arts division at USC, giving students access to the latest equipment to learn hands-on in real-world production environments. They'll be able to experiment and explore with Nikkor lenses similar to those used by many USC alumni filmmakers. So we've talked in the past about Nikon needing to get gear into the hands of young people. Well, this is probably the best example yet of them finally doing that at a big time level. So I think it's a great example of some forward thinking on their part and a smart decision to do something like that. I think that's really, really cool. And hopefully there are other schools that they do that with as well. The Venus Optics Laowa 55 and 100 millimeter f2.8 full frame tilt shift macro, a 1-to-1 macro for both these lenses, is coming out on October 14th. But amazingly enough, I could not find any pricing information on these lenses, and they don't. Laowa Venus Optics doesn't even show these lenses on their own website yet. So it's interesting that it's announced on Nikon Rumors and supposedly coming out on, 2 days from now, and couldn't find any pricing information and couldn't even see any pictures of it really, other than on the Nikon Rumors site. And I think Canon Rumors, I think actually one of the other rumor sites actually talked about it as well, and they didn't list the prices either. So that was definitely a little bit strange. But let's see what we look in the chat here. And Greg's spending time in his workshop and then going out with his cameras. Hey, woodworking is a great hobby. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
I remember Greg was recuperating from a recent operation, correct? So
Yeah.
And Jeff,
Joey.
Joey's in the back.
yeah.
Why is he not pretty nice? He's not showing up here. Okay, there he is. There he is. See, my system doesn't show young people.
Ageism.
Age discrimination.
See, I have like a set in like a blocker. If you're not over a certain age, the system just kicks you off.
I did a struggle with Roy with his hat. It was like, I don't know. He could be young. He could be old. I don't know.
It's my hipster look. I'm going through a phase.
There we go. There we go.
So Joey, you got to work. You got to work on that drum intro for my show someday before I retire.
Hey,
Yeah,
I like that hat, Rob. Get the Hickler there on the cap.
So what's up, Joe? What are you doing? What have you been up to?
Yeah, just busy with work, and yeah, Jeff, I wanted to just come on for a little bit tonight, just to say sorry I've been kind of gone for the last little bit. It's a lot been going on the last couple months here, but really disappointed, but understanding when I saw your email there. Just wanted to say, yeah, thanks for everything you did, man. I mean, this has been something I always look forward to coming to, and you've done a lot for the community, and I know all of us are really, really appreciative of that. It is huge time commitment. So for you to be coming here every week in, week out, hosting this for so many hours, we just want to let you know that even though I haven't necessarily been present for the last little bit, I have been watching, and it's been something that's really, it's been really peaceful for me, just with a lot of things going on in the background, being able to just tune in and hear you guys just, shoot the talk about things and just have great conversations. So, just wanted to say thank you for that.
Well, we're gonna, like I said, probably the second week in November, I'll invite those who have been regulars as yourself on the panel to a private restream discussion and see where we go from here. See if it can be continued in some manner. And I don't want to jump ahead of anything, but we'll have some serious conversation and try to keep things alive in one way, shape, or form or another. But I appreciate the time that you spent coming on the show, and hopefully that you'll continue to do so. As things move forward, because it certainly is nice to have a young person on the show that has a different perspective, and you shoot with a different lineup of product than most of us do, and it's nice to hear about that product because I haven't had the same level of Panasonic cameras that you are shooting with, but I've used the product before and liked it and enjoyed it, and so I like to hear how you're doing with those cameras, and now that you get the opportunity to try out different lenses, and you've done some really great videos, and I've loved what you've been doing, and you should be very proud of what you've been doing. Very good work, and look forward to seeing more from you.
And Joey, going back to the thing, and I know Jeff doesn't want to talk too much about that because it's a little bit difficult for him. But indeed, we have a very good community here, and we'll be all sad if this will disappear completely. But the burden on the community is not completely. It's not balanced, correct? It was not balanced when Chuck was doing it, correct? And it's not balanced now that Jeff is doing it. Some of us that come here as a panelist, it's a lot easier, correct? But for him, he have become a chore, and when he does this, not for a business, it's different. When somebody does this as a business, it becomes a burden, correct? So we will need to find a way to see what we can do if possible, right? Otherwise, we need to find another way to keep the community so we're connected, because it will be a tremendous loss if we don't have a common place to share our passion. Okay. So anyway, so I know it's difficult for Jeff to talk about it, but it had to be said, and he knows, and we have some conversation that I know he had the gratitude, and I know he had the support of everybody here. Correct. There is no lack of understanding why he had taken this rather difficult decision.
I want to say hi to Mr. David Moots, man. The rumors of his death were greatly exaggerated, obviously.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good to see you.
You guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Now,
okay, good.
What have you been up to? I hear you've been trying out different kinds of gear and stuff. I mean, what have you been up to?
I went to Alaska and took a R5 Mark II with me, and of course I took my Nikon gear as well, but shot them side by side. Had a lot of fun with everything. Saw some great bears and got a lot of good shots, and my wife and I had a good time. Now
So
I'm just go ahead.
You're showing us what is under the hood of the photos, or what?
Well, no. This is what I'm doing now currently. I'm being a grease monkey. I'm doing a timing job on my truck.
Okay.
So I got the whole thing tore apart right now.
Oh.
So
yeah, I'm assuming no gear was harmed in that adventure, hopefully.
Nothing was harmed, and
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. I tell you what, though, I did have a lot of fun with that R5 Mark II. It's one hell of a camera for sure.
Yeah.
The only thing I regretted was not getting a prime lens to take with me. I shot the old 100 to 500 RF lens, which is a good lens, but I really regret not having some prime with me.
Yeah.
But I did have my primes with me for the Z9, so that saved me. But it really was it really was a good experience shooting that thing. It's a hell of an autofocus system, and I tell you, the sexiest thing about that camera is its viewfinder. My God, it is unreal how clear that viewfinder is.
Yeah, looking forward to see the photos and to you to give us a presentation.
Yeah, I've been posting them on my own Facebook page, and I know a lot of you probably don't follow that, but I need to start uploading them over there with you guys on the AP Studios page. That way you guys can see them. We had a great time. Ended up seeing, I think it was 26 brown bear.
Oof.
Yeah, we flew into this national park by float plane, and then hopped on a big boat and just cruised around this big lake, and had a great time.
So was it the salmon run, or is it that already happened?
Well, it was right at the end, so there was a lot of zombie fish. This kind of just swimming, not really doing anything till they die. So we caught the tail end of the salmon run, but the bears were super active. Still trying to fatten up. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool.
So did you able to see some younger ones too? Some
Yeah, we saw three sets of cubs. One of them had triplets. The other two sets were twins. So we saw quite a few cubs.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a good
Now,
time. That was my first time in Alaska, and it's definitely worth a trip back.
How long were you down there?
We were there for 2 weeks.
wow.
Yeah, we spent 2 weeks there, kind of based out of Anchorage, and then we kind of drove from Anchorage down to Seward. Then we drove up to Denali. Denali's really cool. I wish we could have spent more time in Denali. We only had one night there because they were closing down at the end of the season.
Hmm.
So we did get to go through Denali National Park and cruised all through there. Saw the biggest moose of my life. I put a video on my Facebook page of it because it was already so far off the road, and there was already a couple photographers way out there with it. So I didn't want to go disturb them or disturb that moose. So I just hung back and shot some video from the road. And my God, it was the biggest moose I've ever seen.
Wow.
It truly, his antlers, they look like a pair of wings. They were
Now,
so big.
was there a squirrel with that moose?
No.
Squirrel and moose.
There was a couple squirrels out there, a couple of guys that were way out there with it. Yeah.
Did you see any dials, Chip?
What's that?
The other the greenhorn. I mean that I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, the
Dials, Chip.
yeah, we did finally towards the end of our trip, we did run across a couple dial sheep, and actually got some pretty good shots of them. They were down off the mountain at the road, so I got some really good close-up shots of them. Just a couple of them. They were kind of young, not the big, older male that you really want to get shots of, but we did end up seeing some.
All right.
Good.
Yeah, we took a couple cruises, couple day cruises, went out to the glaciers, and that was pretty neat being right up next to a glacier like that on the boat, and just had a really good trip.
So the ultimate question is, are you going back?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely going to go back for another bear adventure. I've already found another company, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but I've already found another company that I'm probably going to book with them, and they actually take you, instead of being on a boat. This time I'll be out on the land with the bears,
Okay.
so I can get some different shots. That was the biggest downfall with being on the boat. There wasn't a lot of good clean backgrounds. You had to really work for it if you wanted a clean background.
Yeah.
So you took the 400 or the 600?
I took everything I had. We were loaded down. We checked bags, but they were all closed in those bags, and all of our carry-on was nothing but camera gear.
Oh.
So I shot the 600 PF. I shot the 400. My wife shot the 100 to 400. She shot the 600 PF as well. And then I also had the 100 to 500 Canon with me too. So we had pretty much everything. I didn't take the big 600 because it's too big to
Too
carry
heavy.
anyway. And that one I ended up selling. I don't even shoot that big 600 TC anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard that you were out in the wilderness, and I mean, it's great to see you. I mean, we haven't seen you like in forever. It seems like.
Yeah,
And
it's
glad you-
been a minute. I've been super busy with life and other things. You know, they kind of just take up your time before you know it. You're off doing other things. So right now, this truck's got me tied up for about another week, and then I'll have it running. And I get back out there and take some pictures.
Well, thanks for checking in with us.
Yeah, I just wanted to pop in because I watched the top of the show and heard you're leaving in a couple months, and I didn't catch if there was a plan for somebody taking over already, or did you
You
get it?
volunteering?
Well, I think we're gonna try to arm wrestle Chuck if we can. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens.
That would be
I'm-
great, man.
I'm going to, yeah.
That would be awesome, Chuck. I really have missed you. When you started this whole thing, and it was a great pleasure to be on the panel and board with you guys, and even with Jeff. And also, I wanted to say that too about Jeff. If you are ever in his area, definitely look him up and go visit him. My wife and I had a blast there.
Yeah, I tell you, I was like tickled pink to meet someone that I'm usually just looking at them on the screen, and to have them come
Yeah.
and visit and be able to spend some time with you and your wife, and I had Martin and his wife came, and
Yeah.
Jeff and Leslie. I would have met them, but they had an unfortunate situation with his health of his dad at the time, and had to go back. But hopefully, I'll get to meet Jeff and Leslie again sometime. And I mean, the door is always open here for anybody that's in this neck of the woods and wants to just do a half day of shooting or a full day of shooting. I don't care. I mean, when I'm at the park, sometimes I'll meet someone from Ohio or something that's never been there, and they start asking me questions, and I'll just say, "Hey, I'll give you a tour if you want." And the next thing you know, I'm walking them through the park for like 4 hours, and we're taking pictures together. And they're like, "Oh man, thanks a lot for showing us around." And hey, I don't care, because I want to promote photography, and I want to get
Yeah.
people out there shooting. So
Yeah, I wish we would have had more time to spend with you out taking pictures and stuff, but unfortunately that didn't work out for us. But you put us on a good spot where my wife and I got some good, cool shots that morning, so we had a good time.
yeah, we did, and I hope to meet you again sometime, and maybe down the road I could get on a few little plane trips and visit some of the folks here that have been nice enough to help me out on this show. And I did get to meet Chuck in person one time, and that was a thrill. I mean, Chuck and I, when we first met each other, I know I felt like I was meeting somebody I'd known for a long time, even though I had never met him in person before. And
Yeah.
and,
Well,
and,
that's how I felt when I met you.
you know,
Because we just talking, through a camera. It's amazing how you kind of get that bond.
yeah, I mean, and Chuck is a fantastic person, and his wife is very, very nice, and I had a great time, and I'll never forget it. It was super, super nice to meet him and his wife, and it's a little difficult right now, thinking about not being on all the time, but I know that we're gonna talk things out. We're gonna talk about stuff, and I have a very strong feeling that things will move forward and will keep going on.
It'll
And so I feel very strongly that will happen. So for anybody in the panel that's fearing that you'll never see these folks again, yes, you will. It may be taken over by previous management, as they say.
Well, it's been a pleasure for sure. Yeah. Everybody I've ever met on here has been the nicest group of people I've ever talked to. So we definitely will miss you leading it, but yeah, Chuck, let's get it going.
Yeah, got 2 more months
Yep.
of to get the talking right. Okay.
And he's got to train Noah, his new cat, to know how to hit the correct button on his panel.
Yeah.
So the cat will be in training as well, and the cat will have to pass a test. Otherwise, Chuck won't let the cat stay with him in the room.
That's right. That's right. Hey,
Well, listen, I'm gonna jump off here, let you guys get back to the show. I'm gonna wrap up this truck for the night here and get ready to go in and get cleaned up. So, hey, it's good talking to you guys. We'll see you around. Hopefully, I'll see you again before the end of this, before these 2 months are up.
yeah.
Sounds good. We hope to see you.
Hey, take care. See you guys.
Take it easy. Thank you.
See you, Miss
Bye.
Boots.
I
Joe,
got to run
later.
too, guys. We'll see you later.
Hey, Joe. Take it easy.
Thank
Take it
you.
easy. Happy Canadian
David,
Thanksgiving.
thank you so much, Dave.
Yeah, take care. See ya.
All right. Bye bye.
And
And Joey's gone too.
Joey's going too. Yeah. And the yeah. I didn't do this announcement tonight to get everybody into to create a new episode of Fear Factor. So don't fret, those in the chat. Something will be worked out in the next month or so, and when everything is kind of figured out, we will bring it up on the show as soon as we can and share that information with everyone, so everybody knows what's going to be going on. And so we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Gustavo, are you all set with your
Yes.
pitch? So
Yes.
Gustavo is going to share some information on how to find that illustrious comet that's deciding it's going to land on my home in Myrtle Beach, probably, and to punish me for retiring here. And
And I would probably need the commentary and the help of the astrophotographers that we have here, like David and Terry. But as you know, the heavens keep giving us some opportunity here in the last week, correct? And we discussed this a little bit last week, correct? So there is this comet, Tushishan Atlas, or C-23 2023 A3, that is going to show up. Actually, the best possible views will be the next 3 days, correct? And it has moved now from being a morning comet to an afternoon comet. And comets are difficult to predict if they're going to be any good, but all the astrophotographers are very excited about that, correct? So I thought that for today, we got we were going to talk a little bit about this, but the best thing is try to locate it. Right? Even today, it was possible to see, but for me, it was a little bit cloudy over the western horizon. So the trick to do this is to look to the west. It had to be just after sunset, correct? So you still have to see don't try to look for it before the sun set, because obviously you try to look at with binoculars or your camera is dangerous, okay? So you have to wait until sunset. When you see the glow of the sun behind the horizon, that's the right time to look at it. And the best way to locate it is to look to the brightest star in the early evening sky, which is Venus, okay? And this is the position of the Venus in relationship to the comet, right? So you can see on this 13, I mean, tomorrow, it will be very close to the horizon, but it progressively will be above the horizon over the 14 and the 15. Now, it will continue to move up, but it is also getting further from Earth, so it will not be easy to see. So I think the best opportunity for some of us, it will be the next 3 evenings. Look for a place that you can have a good look of the sunset, okay? And then and wait until sunset, and then if you want, comets are the tail of the comet, correct? Is highly unpredictable, but I think it's the 13, 14, and 15 when is the best position to photograph. So I have seen in my life two comets. One when I was, I think it was 9 or 10, and that was fantastic. And then I saw the Hale Bob. Uh, so if this tail develop, it will be a truly spectacular thing. So I encourage you guys to have a look over the coming days over the horizon. Uh, spend some time with your family looking for this comet. And the trick is, as I said, looking for Venus. Now, this is from an app on my iPad that can be helpful. I use this Sky Guy app version 1.03. I think this is the free version of it, and then you can point it, and it will show you in your app the position of the comet as well. So I don't have any recommendation for you how to take the picture, but remember, because it's a twilight, it should be like taking any picture, right? There should not be any particular. The exposure may be a little bit longer, but David, maybe you have some recommendation.
Well, I was just going to ask you, Gustavo, what focal length you're recommending.
It depends on the side. It depends on the side of the tail, correct? If the tail is relatively small, then you can use a telephoto, correct? But if the tail it could be quite big, then so you probably need to have at hand more than one lens, depending on how well the tail shows up.
Yeah.
But because if you do a relatively longer exposure, the tail that it registered in your camera may be a lot longer than what you see with your own eyes.
Yeah, the thing is the longer your lens, the shorter your exposure is going to have to be, so
Exactly.
you don't get star trails.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
But it should be obviously, as you know, the forecasting what is maybe by tomorrow there will be a forecast of the magnitude of the event, given that it had come around the sun already, and probably some people saw it today. But I think tomorrow, in particular, the 14th and the 15th probably are the best day, correct?
yeah, probably start off with a 50 and then go up from there.
And you can give it David. You can show that kind of way to determine how many degrees by looking at your fingers or your fist, because I think the 14 and 15 is like maybe between 2 and I think it's a 5 degrees above the horizon, correct? But the trick is to look for Venus. If you look Venus, remember this is from my position here. This is straight west, correct? So you look for the Venus, which should be probably the most visible star at that time of the day, and then look around the horizon just a little bit west of the east-west direction.
So what do you think? Like use a 70 to 200, 2.8, or use a 100 to 400?
Well, I would say to start off is take a shot of the horizon, including Venus, whatever focal length that will require.
And
So
then
and when you take your first couple of test shots, then you'll be able to see where the comet is, and then you can adjust from there.
yeah. I have heard some people talking about using the plana because it's relatively. I mean, the optic quality and also about 100 millimeter may not be bad, but it depends on the size of the coma.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, how big it's going to appear in the viewfinder.
Well, for an awful lot of this stuff, you have to take a test shot and have a look at it on your display afterwards,
Yeah.
because your camera will be able to see an awful lot more than you can with the naked eye. And it may take 4 or 5 test shots before you see it.
Yeah, but the as we're discussing, the magnitude is the issue, correct? Because it depends how well the tail is developed and how the light is the light is coming from behind, correct? Now from
Yeah.
the sun, so it tends to it could be rather large, that tail, correct? Probably by tomorrow morning we will have a better indication, and look for some of those sites. Spaceweather.com and all that kind of stuff, and they probably will have some photos that you can have as a reference, as well as I guarantee you tomorrow morning there will be a lot of recommendations how to photograph this, correct? But
Yeah.
it could be as bright as Venus, and if it happens to be as bright as Venus, that will be really spectacular. But it's only 3 days that we can see it, correct?
And in each day, the best time is going to be at sunrise, at sunset.
Sunset. I mean, remember the way the Earth rotation is, correct? I mean, when it's that close to the horizon, the comet will set in a matter of minutes or seconds, correct? So I think even at this number of degrees above the horizon on the 15, in order to get behind the horizon will be maybe 10 minutes or something like that, David.
It actually changes about 15 degrees an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah. So depending on how high up it is.
And I think the 15 is probably only 4 or 5 degrees, correct? So
Yeah.
so you don't have too much time.
So 5 degrees is a maximum of 20 minutes.
Exactly. So you have to be ready. You have to be ready, but not focusing before. You have to be set there. Check for the weather conditions. Good look towards the west and just wait until the sunset. Correct. And as soon as you see Venus, correct. As soon as Venus will become visible, then you can start looking for it.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's a task, guys.
It's like Mission Impossible. Your mission, if you choose to accept it.
Exactly. But it's potentially rewarding. Both the one that I have seen with my own eyes, and take a pair of binoculars as well. Sometimes they develop a double tail. Okay. The comets are really special, and they never know. We never know whether they survive going around the sun. Many of them get affected by the gravity of the sun, and then when they come this other way, they are not good. But this one seems to have survived going around the sun. So we will talk next week to see whether anybody here in the group managed to get a good photo. I'm sure that Mr. Tour will be one of those.
Now here's a man. Now I'm going to put this up. Getting off subject for 30 seconds here or so.
Yes, of course.
Here's a man with a conscience. Okay, I'm going to put up his comment. Bought wife a new car today to redeem himself over camera gear acquisition. Good job, Jim. You will live to see another day. Now you will live to see another day. You got another shot, right, to show us, Gustavo?
Yeah, I got a couple of more things here. So let me move the slide. And this is actually now a consultation because, as you know, last week we talked about the opportunity to photograph the aurora and the spectacle in the aurora show was truly spectacular. So and it was very exciting to. Even if I didn't manage to get the photo that I wanted, it was very excited to try, correct? And for sure, we still, as David reminded us last week, we still have another year of solar maximum. So there may be some opportunities, but this corona mass ejection was directly pointing towards the Earth, and the people that had the fortune to see it, and be in a good location with good weather, um, really have a great time. And probably David can show some of the fantastic pictures from the one that we got this. I think it was the Wednesday. Jim? So
Well, Anita and I were out Friday morning, just as soon as Friday started. She actually started on Thursday evening,
Thursday evening.
and I was out earlier in the week also. But when we were out, between the two of us, we only had 6 cameras going and only one Nikkor lens.
Yeah,
Every other
and
lens is third party.
and I tell you, David, after trying this, I can understand why you need the 6 cameras, correct? Because you probably need to. It's a little bit of trying everything and see which one is the
Well,
one that captures the best image.
What was happening is some cameras were pointing north, some were south, some were east, some were west, and
others in between.
yeah, and in between.
Yeah.
And I had a 10, a 12, and a 15 millimeter lava, and a 28 Sigma. And Anita had her 20 Nikkor, which is the only Nikkor glass, and her 28 Sigma. And it was just all over the place. You had to keep looking around just to see where it was the best place to be shooting. And I would have loved to shot a video, but I had no idea what direction that I should be shooting, because there's got to be a time lapse because their exposures are around 2 seconds, and at a 2 second exposure, you can only take a frame about every 4 or 5 seconds. So that, but anyway, the trick is what direction do you shoot?
Exactly, and this is actually the consultation that I have with you. So David was trying to advise me, and I think I contact a couple of people, including Jim and Tim, and I told him, hey, and Jeff, hey, this is happening. It looks like it could be a good show. So I'm sure that many of us try. Now I failed completely. Correct. The first time I went out, it was a little bit of a bad situation, and my wife and I decided to come back. And then the second time, for the second corona mass ejection, I said, let me try from home. It turned out that in the direction, although I live in the outskirts of Denver, the direction where I was the best possible position, the light pollution from Denver is still a little bit too much. So on that evening, I took some shots, nothing spectacular. But then I got frustrated, and I decided to photograph actually almost due south. Correct? And the consultation here with you, David, is when I look at the photos, correct, which I was, and this was done early in the morning, like just before 5 a.m. I noticed there was a little bit of a reddish band. I don't know if you can see it, David.
Yeah,
there.
I can just barely see it. But
do you think that's the aurora?
Well, I would see. It all depends on what municipality is south of you, but within 100 or so kilometers. Because what will happen if the humidity is high, the street lights will reflect off the sky, and they'll change the color.
Okay.
And your sodium street lights will come back as orange or red.
Yeah, I had noticed that when I have photographed. So that's what I wasn't certain, but typically when I have seen that, David, it goes all the way reddish to the horizon, correct? And let me see if I can.
It not necessarily. I've seen it a whole bunch of different ways, and I don't like having a municipality within 100 kilometers, but just because I don't like it doesn't mean I don't shoot over it. Because I've shot the aurora from downtown Calgary, and I'm sure Denver is no brighter at night than Calgary is, because what I find is the American cities are dark compared to Canadian cities after
Yeah.
dark. You know,
Yeah,
I tell you, I look at that. I look at your image there and how you identify. You know,
So
you
I'm
know
sharing
what?
I'm sharing. Sorry, let me stop sharing here. Let me share. Let me share
Oh,
from Photoshop because it's easy to. Okay, so let me. Sorry, Jeff. Doing the switcheroo between screens as usual.
no, that's all right. Well, I was just going to say what's funny is like I worked in the aerospace business for a good part of my life, you know. But the funny thing is, I never got into astrophotography, which really one would say, "What are you nuts? You did stuff for NASA, and you're not interested in astrophotography?" And the answer is, "No, I'm not." And the thing is, when I look at him identifying the stars or whatever on his what he was sharing, I'm like, I would just look up in the sky and say, yeah, that's a bright one. That's a bright one. That's a bright one. I'd have no clue which one is which or anything. It's like, you know.
Yeah, certain patterns are very easy to recognize, correct? Like the Big Dipper and this or Orion belt, correct? And that's why you can see David that we were photographing almost due south from my place because you can see Orion, correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
and but what I find, if you can see um, enough stars in your pictures, so that you can identify constellations, your exposure is wrong for the aurora.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just what I found out or figured
Yeah.
out. So,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So I mean, as I told you, I was not, at this point I was not trying to even get the aurora. I just turn the camera around and they say, "Oh, the sky looks clear in this direction. Let me take some check." So I'm going to keep trying, and of course, eventually I will visit you there, and we go and see the aurora, or the aurora give us hopefully some more shows and opportunities. But definitely, uh, you know, it was. And this is from my backyard, correct? So I'm going
yeah.
to first try to learn how to do the photography because I realized that it was completely inept, Jeff,
Well,
about doing this.
you know, I think aurora photography to get good stuff is one of the harder things to do. You know, it is. It takes a bunch of practices because some of my first stuff I thought it was good and now I think it is crap. You know, and but that album that I sent you, it showed you how I changed over the last 6 or 7 years.
Of
You
course, of
know,
course.
actually it's 8 years, I think, 8 or 9. But you just got to keep practicing. And what I
Exactly.
say is look at your histogram, and you want to have it so that you're about one stop or so underexposed, and that's a good exposure for the aurora.
Okay. So
Yep.
anyway, I think I'm going to here during the winter when the skies look cleaner and also certainly I think what I realize now, David, is that at least on the southward direction from here from my yard, the sky is dark enough that you can register quite a bit. Correct. So I
Yeah.
think if I see the sky is crisp, I would take some. I would learn. Correct. So
Okay. There's I would just there are 6 things that have to be working together to get a good aurora shot. And the first one, which is easiest, is location. If you pick a good location where you can see the horizon, or you can have a foreground object or something in there. But
exactly.
usually, when I find people have an interesting foreground shot, the aurora is just just crap. But anyway, the the second thing is the weather. You need relatively clear skies and you want low humidity.
Exactly.
Okay, the third thing is your KP index. This is a calculated number, but it is easy to visualize. As the higher the KP, the better.
And
And
this was pretty high, right, David?
pardon?
This was pretty high.
Oh yeah, it was up over 8, and like for me, 6 I consider that is very high.
Exactly.
And getting up to 8 and over 8 is phenomenal. The next thing has to do with the wind speed, and it's nice if that's higher than 500 kilometers a second. And after that is the density. And the density, it's nice to be higher than 10. And I'm not too sure what the units are, but you can actually see the aurora when the density is higher than a half, or sometimes less. But it doesn't. If you don't have the particles coming in, there's nothing there to see. And so that is a lot harder to see it when the density is low versus the density is high. And I've seen the density up over 30.
Yeah.
And the next thing has to do with the BZ. And the BZ has to do with the direction of the magnetic field with the aurora. And you want it to be negative. The higher the negative value, the further south that it's going to be. And it's we were having minus 20 and numbers that are lower than that, but for me, anything lower than -5 is great. And it just so happened when we went out on Thursday night, Friday morning, it was cloudy, but the clouds cleared. And then everything that you want was really good. But we spent the next 2 days scouting locations. The next time that it comes, we've got, I think, 20 different locations that we can go to, but we'll have to pick 1 or 2 because once you get there for the night, you really don't want to change.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's my short dissertation on this, and I'm not going to talk about equipment. It doesn't really matter because my go-to camera, it is 10 years old. My glass that I have is relatively new, but it's get the best glass and get a camera that's really good in low light.
Definitely, I think at one point, David, you need to do a little presentation um, with the like you guide me through the website and you show me.
Oh yeah,
But definitely that will be helpful for other people. And the other thing is that the fact that you can get those satellites that I mean of course the monitoring of the sun activity, correct? If they have a corona mass ejection that is in the direction of the Earth, they anticipate a good aurora. At least we have a day and a half or something that to get ready, and then like you show me, when it goes to those satellites, and then they can make a pretty good forecast of the magnitude. So there is some way of doing this that is not that allows you
yeah,
for some preparation. So anyway, so I think Robert has something to
Yes.
share, and Jeff, then I can go back here later on and show some other pictures of creatures, which is more in my belly wax.
All right. I got a few. I got a live a video from Anita with the Aurora. I'll throw that up first, and then I got a few pictures that Robert Rosado sent me of the Aurora that he took. I'm assuming in Connecticut. So I'll share those, and then I'll do my unboxing there and talk about that lens.
All right.
So let me get to sharing these items.
Ooh,
Let me maximize this.
beautiful.
Isn't that crazy, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, this is,
That was Monday night.
yeah. Want to describe that?
What do you need described?
Oh, she shot this
I
on
hear-
her iPhone.
No, I didn't.
This is what people used to see when they did LSD, I think.
These are from the camera.
Okay,
So I have my D8 out with me, or not D8, my Z8 out with me that night, and I have the 20 millimeter lens on.
Well, that's cool.
Wow. That's fantastic, Anita. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
It was quite a night, and it's really funny because I went out a little after 9 o'clock and talked to some people that were at the same location that were just there looking, not photographing. And they said, "Oh, it was really, really nice at 9 o'clock." Well, I got there, and it was not good. But I decided, well, I'll wait around because the camera was picking up more than my eye. And then about 11 o'clock at night, this is what it just went wild.
Yeah, that's wild, all right.
and you notice that in this video you cannot see the stars.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I like that. It's just a curtain. It's like just a curtain of light. A curtain
yeah.
of light.
Yeah,
so
you see,
nice
that's
to
a
get
bucket
it.
list type of thing, that Jeff.
That's cool. I'll put up let's see put up Robert's shots here. I think he said they were he says he's commenting on what we just saw. Robert is nowhere near like that here in Connecticut. Yeah, that's for sure. So he sent a few images. Oh shoot. I thought I had them on the screen here. Oh, I know what I did with them. I got them. I got to open them up. That's what the problem is. I got them on my desktop, but I didn't open them up yet. And
Yeah, you see, only in this show you get this craziness.
well, yeah, tonight you guys are making me work too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm getting ready to retire, and you're making me work my butt off here. You know,
Exactly.
Isn't that the way that it's supposed to be? You know,
Yeah.
it's we got to work your
Reminds me
harder.
of when I retired from work. I give them 6 months notice. They killed me. I give you guys 2 months notice. You're going to kill me now.
That's our job.
So here's
Robert.
this is from Robert.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
So this was on 10/10/10. So this was 2 days ago.
Wow.
They got
I
backlit
like them.
clouds.
The moodiness.
Yep. And then let me make sure. Let me find the next one.
So
here.
that's interesting, David, that you don't have to have like perfect sky, correct? If it's
No.
strong enough, it will come through the clouds.
Oh yeah, it like
Look at that.
you can get colors just like this.
Wow.
Through the clouds.
Well done, Robert.
Yeah, and this is in Connecticut. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it?
Where is that?
That's
Where in Connecticut, Robert?
somewhere in Connecticut. I don't know. He says, well, he has Mary Edwards property, so I don't. That doesn't mean nothing to me. So I don't. Robert, can you give a better, like, what town are you in when you shot that photo in Connecticut?
So that's a task for you, Chuck. Next time it happens.
I hear you.
And then he had one more here, similar to the first one, but a little different color.
Wow.
And a little more, a lot more, some deeper colors in here, a little pink and a little like magenta coloration here. That's cool, huh?
That's cool. Yes. Yeah. The one that people in the primitive people freaked out when something like this happened.
Yeah, Anita meant to say Z8, not D8, Z8.
Yes.
Just to clarify that. But yeah, so that's pretty good. I mean, I kicked myself in the head for, you gave me a heads up, Gustavo, and then I got distracted, and it didn't happen. So
Yeah, Jeff, do you still
Well,
have the
I gave
link
you
to my
now.
After Dark photos?
I'd have to go searching.
Now you guys all have the assignment on the comments, right? So
so Robert's saying that was in Granby, Connecticut. Granby, Connecticut.
is that close to where you are, Jeff?
And it's
Sorry,
looking-
Chuck.
No,
No.
it's up north.
Yeah, looking into Massachusetts, he said.
Mhm.
Looking into Mass. He says Mount Tom in Massachusetts was in the background in the distance.
I live all the way down south.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're heading towards New York.
Yeah.
But very good, very good images and a good, great video, live video. We're getting spoiled here. Live video and great still images. What I'm going to do now is let me get my notes.
Hey, I'm going to take off.
Okay, you're leaving us, huh?
I'm going to. I got to call my my daughter. She just.
That's okay. He's just messing with
Fine. Thank you for. Well, hey, you already stayed 37 minutes past your normal time.
Oh, that's right, Drew.
We're screwing up your schedule.
But anyway, thank you everybody for letting me come and do our thing, and then we're going to get better, or at least for the next few months. So, all right,
Take it easy, Chuck.
all right.
Good night, kitty cat, wherever you are.
No, Steven.
Bye bye.
Bye. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to share let me get my.
Okay, David.
We're going to share this lens here that I had actually ordered months ago, probably 3 months ago, so it's a lens made by Astra Labs. They have some interesting stuff. It's all manual focus lenses. And some of it's for Leica cameras, some of it's for Z mount. So they got a wide, a small but expanding lenses, and they're very vintage looking, as you'll see in a minute. So I bought what they called a no Nikkor, because it's not a Nikkor lens, right? So therefore the name no Nikkor, 50 millimeter f1.2. It's a no Nikkor Nocti lens, 50 millimeter 1.2. So this is the packaging.
Wow.
That
even the packages look like non-Nikkor.
Non-Nikkor Nocti. www.artralab.com. And so we'll open up this box. And so we get the little piece of foam. We get the silica gel.
Hey,
We get no manual, by the way. We get
be
no.
careful. Be careful, Jeff. With this unboxing video, you may get 1,000 subscribers now.
Yeah. The lens is buried in the box, cradled in foam all around, which is good. So pull the lens out. And they got it wrapped in this little baggie. And aesthetically, this lens is phenomenal. Aesthetically. Very, very, very. I'm going to take the lens hood off before I show it to you, and the lens cap. So this is the lens. It has a design very much like a scalloped focusing ring, very much like the old pre-AI lenses back in the 50s, late 59 and early 60s that Nikon made. It has an actual aperture ring that you can see here that goes now. And I'll talk about this more, but you go from 1.2 to 1.4, which is only a third of a stop difference, right? And then after that, it's full stops: 1.2, 1.4, 2, 2.8, 4, 5.6, 8, 11, and 16.
Okay.
So it's 1.2 to f16, and you have the ability to look at your depth of field. And it's a very it's an all aluminum construction with a brass lens mount.
Okay.
So the quality is very, very, very nice. It weighs find a weight here, 560 grams. It's a full frame lens, 8 elements in 6 groups, 11 diaphragm blades. 52 millimeter thread on the front. Obviously, like I said, manual focus, aluminum alloy body with the brass lens mount, and a low reflective multi-layer coating. And what is so retro too is the lens hood. The lens hood looks like I said, something out of the 50s.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't screw on. It just lays on the lens, and you tighten up the screw a little bit, and it clamps itself around the end of the lens, and it looks marvelous.
Yeah.
It looks marvelous.
The first Nikons had that lens hood.
Yep, they had little screws to tighten on, and I love that design. To me, I mean, I'd rather have that than what we have now. To be honest,
Easier.
they don't fall off easy, and they're quick to put on. They're quick to take off, and
They look good.
The lens itself is now being a manual focus lens. I mean, it has a long throw. Okay, so it's not like obviously you buy a Nikkor autofocus lens and you want to shoot in manual focus. You could go into the control ring or whatever, and you can program how much the throw is going to be. 90 degrees, 180 degrees, whatever you want it to be. So you can make it so your throw is very, very short. Obviously, it's a non-CPU lens. So when you put with any manual focus lens that's a third-party lens, it's going to be a non-CPU lens. There's no contacts on the lens mount, so your camera doesn't know what the f-stop is. You have to go into the menu, and you have to tell the camera what this lens is. You have to go into the non-CPU data, and you have to create, okay, this is lens number 2 for me. It's lens number 2. It's 50 millimeter. It's f1.2, and you put that information in. If you don't put that information in, and you just slap this lens on your camera, you're going to think the lens is broken. It is not going to work right. Nothing is going to be in focus. Okay, it's going to be you're going to swear it's a piece of junk. You have to put the data in the non-CPU data and assign it a lens number and put in the focal length and put in the maximum aperture. Once you do that, everything is fine and dandy. Now, the focus ring is just so it's firm but extremely smooth, really, really, really nice. Now, I only took this out and I took some pictures of the house across the street, and I only tried it at 2 f-stops. I shot it at f16 to see if everything was going to be sharp corner to corner, shooting it on the houses across the street from me, which it was very, very sharp. It looked really, really good corner to corner. I then tried to take some pictures of my dog who was moving at the time at f1.2, and
Bad choice.
which was I'm trying to get her to just like sit, don't move, Patches, don't move, and then she'd come over, and I'm like, yeah, this is working good. So let me tell you, you do not buy a manual focus lens if you need to react, if you're shooting something where you need to react quickly to capture a moment. You don't buy manual lenses for that. You buy manual focus lenses in general for something that you have more control over, whether it be a portrait session or you're doing street photography, which you have some control over, where you're taking your time. You're taking your time because you're not going to see the f-stops. Okay, you're not going to see the f-stops in your viewfinder window. Your f-stop, you're going to have f and you're going to have dash lines. You're not going to know what your f-stop is. It's going to be whatever it is that you select with the aperture ring. And speaking of the aperture ring, it does click, but it's a very quiet click. It's not like the old cameras. If you turned the aperture ring quickly, you'd hear like click, 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 click. You take this and you move it. It's very quiet, but when you're there. And the other thing you run into with manual focus lenses that people don't realize, when you take if I put my Nikkor 40 millimeter f2 lens on my ZF, like I put this on my ZF. So if I put that 40 millimeter on my ZF, let me back up. You put this lens on, you have what you set it to. So in most of the cases, other than the first 2 clicks, you're at 1-stop increments. Okay, so that makes it a little harder for you sometimes because unlike putting a 40 millimeter f2, and you could go like f8, f9, f10, f11, f12, f13, f14, f15, f16. Same range with this. Now you go f8, f11, 8, 16, f16. You don't have the in-betweens, okay? So that's the disadvantage too with manual focus lenses. So sometimes in order to get your exposure properly,
yeah, you can change the ISO.
You got to either you're instead of, because if you're sitting there and you're saying, oh, I'm at say I'm at f5.6 and you go, oh, my exposure isn't right, I'm underexposed, and then you go to f4 and now you're overexposed and you're playing that game. Set your f-stop for, word of advice, you set the f-stop for what you want to use and you make your adjustments of your exposure between your ISO settings and your shutter speeds.
Exactly.
And that's what you do, because you don't have half-stop increments when you're adjusting your aperture ring, okay? But my first impression so far is from a design standpoint, a retro standpoint, a feel of the of moving the aperture ring, the focus ring, absolutely stellar, absolutely stellar. In terms of photo quality, you're at 1.2. You don't get you don't get the bokeh balls. You just get the background just disappears. It just melts away at 1.2. But I got to take a lot of pictures with this so I can show you some actual image samples. But I feel I made a good purchase. When I got this,
certainly for a 1.2
yeah,
price versus
I mean,
value.
right now they're selling this at B&H. They got it as a special order item for $380.
Exactly.
Now I got it for $18 less because I ordered it real early, months ago. And then so they sent me two magnetic filters, a UV filter. They call it an MCUV. It's a magnetic filter, and then they sent me what they call a white mist filter, which is kind of interesting. It just kind of you look through it, and it does look like white mist. You look through it, just little white dots, really fine little white dots for portrait work. To have a different look, a different feel, that type of thing. I'm going to just take the lens hood off here and take out one of the filters because I don't know how that
attaches.
So I'm going to find that out now.
So Robert has a question there for you on the about
between clicks. Yeah, I mean you could rotate the ring and the aperture ring and put it in between the numbers.
And guess what it is, correct?
So yeah, well, it won't matter because if you're looking at you're looking at your histogram or you're looking at your bar along the bottom of your screen, and if you want to slide it so it's in between F4 and 5.6, you can do that.
But do you see the blade?
You'll see the change in your viewfinder.
But it's changing the aperture.
Right, it's changing the aperture, but it's not like you get, like I said, when you're using an automatic. Right, you're not getting a set value. If you wanted to be precise, you're not going to be precise, but you can adjust it in between the click stops and change your exposure.
And it would be whatever is in between.
Right, it'll be whatever it is. And like I said, that's what's kind of cool with using an auto focus lens in manual focus mode is you can use both wheels on your camera, one for adjusting your f-stop, one for adjusting your shutter speed, and use auto ISO or set your ISO for whatever you want. And so, but like I said, manual focus lenses are for those who are doing images where they can take their time. You're not in a hurry. You're going back to the old days. So here's the UV. Here's the clear. Or they called it a UV filter here. Well, it looks like it has threads to me. So I don't know why they're calling it magnetic. It's threaded. So, you know what it is? It's a silly. It's got a magnet on the. It says magnetic, but it must be magnetic on the outer part of the filter. Like if you stack stuff, I don't know, but it is threaded. It is threaded. Oh, and I got a fingerprint on the filter already.
That's what they're for. Get the filter messed up, not the lens.
Yeah, so I successfully got the filter messed up. But yeah, it looks like a really, really good, looks like a good lens for the money. I mean, what are you going to get at f1.2 lens for under $400? And I'll let you know when I'll take some pictures and I'll report back and I'll say, hey, thumbs up, thumbs down, or I'll take it at every aperture and see at what aperture you need to be at to have corner to corner sharpness and the degree of softness that you get at those lower f-stop values. But it's going to be kind of neat to fool with. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Like I said, I just did some random shooting off my second story porch here on the second floor of my house, shooting at houses that were across the street.
Well, you know what surprised me, Jeff, that for a 1.2, that the size of the lens is not that big, correct? I would have said that any 1.2, the diameter of the front element is not that big for a 1.2.
No, and it has a little weight to it though. I'm not sure what 560 grams is in ounces, but
so Roy, how that compare with the older knot?
Well, I had the real older knock till recently, till I sold it, and it looks very similar.
Okay.
I think the front element was bigger on that one, but a lot of the Chinese lenses, they tend to exaggerate their speed of the f-stops. So
Okay.
it may not be quite 1.2 as well.
But
it looks a good lens. I'd test it wide open on some test charts, see how good it is. But that price, you couldn't go wrong.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what it can do. But it definitely dissolves the background really well at 1.2. I'll tell you that.
Should do.
And that old not F mount, Roy, was a 1.0 or a point? What was it?
1.2. The 58 knot was 1.2.
1.2. Okay, so
I've still got two old AIS 1.2s, but they're never sharp wide open. I don't know how good this lens is.
okay.
And all the and it's all glass elements too. It doesn't have plastic.
That's good to hear.
So it's all glass optics. So like I said, it's gonna be an interesting thing to try out, but it's definitely I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, and like I said, in terms of styling and the retro look and the metal construction, and I give it an A+ in that regard. And the initial photos I got, I was very happy with, but I got to do a lot more photo taking before I give you a final conclusion. And I'll share those images on the show hopefully in the next couple weeks.
And for $300,
it's three. What did I say? $380 right now at B&H. Like I said, when I got it, I got the filters for free, and I got the $18 off and 2 filters. So that was kind of a pretty good deal. Now let's see what else we got to go over here. There's a lot of news from some of the other camera manufacturers too, that I found. Give me a second here. Make sure I don't skip anything. Go back to there were a few more Nikon rumors that I didn't to go over, or did I do? No, I think I went over them when Gustavo was preparing for his pitch. So the next thing was Sony rumors. We'll go to Sony rumors now for the Sony fans out there, Sony users out there. There's some place called a website in Germany called Value Tech. They're promoting a hands-on with the new Viltrox. Viltrox is coming out with 135 millimeter f1.8 lab lens, what they're calling a lab lens, which is, I believe that's their highest quality lenses that they make. They call it the lab series, the lab lens. So they're saying maybe they're going to announce it on that day, on October 20th. So
Could be a reproduction lens.
And then the new Mikey 55 millimeter 1.8 is coming out on October 17th. So that's only 5 days away. The Sony A1 Mark II is coming in 2025, but one source made the following statement. he or she said there's a high probability the A1-2 will drop before the end of this year, but the very, very end of the year. And the person says the only reason it would be in January of 2025 would be because of production issues. The person's being told the same chip, same sensor, and just updates that they expect. They're going to add a new AI chip in the camera body. It's going to be the same camera body. I guess some people were hoping that they were going to change the camera body for the A1 and make it more like the A9 III, which I guess is better ergonomically. So they were hoping that they were going to take the A1
ergonomics
or A1 technology and put it in an A9 III style body and call it the A1 Mark II. But apparently they are not doing that. They are using the same body. It's going to have the same 50 megapixel sensor. It's going to have the new AI chip. They're saying improved frame rate, best in class autofocus. I think every new camera that comes out, that whoever makes it is going to say they got the best autofocus. That's just going to be a constant ping pong match between Sony, Canon, and Nikon.
And better viewfinder, correct? Like David Moots was saying. I mean, we need to expect that you can see the viewfinder on the C6 III is much better than what we got in the C8 and C9. Right?
Yeah. It's going to have an SD card and a CF Express Type A with the 4.0 generation. Dual, but you know what? That's funny because it's not going to have. It's going to accept the 4.0 generation, but it's not going to have the architecture in it to support the 4.0 4.0 capabilities. You know, so they're going to announce it between November 2024 and January of 2025. And then Sony Alpha Rumors, as they call it, has multiple YouTube videos. They have one titled the Viltrox 28 millimeter chip. It says the most fun lens for $99, Sony E-mount. It says the smallest autofocus lens in the world, ? It's a 28 millimeter f4.5 pancake autofocus lens. I'm sure it'll be available in other mounts as well. And then they have another YouTube video on their website on the Sigma 28-105 f2.8 DN/art lens that is either coming out. I guess it's out there now or coming out soon. I'm not 100% if it's out yet or not, but they got a video on it. And then Fuji Rumors. I think last week we talked about that Fuji Rumors was talking about that Fuji was going to come out with a completely different camera. It wasn't going to be part of any of the series of cameras that they have out there right now. And lo and behold, quite a surprise, I might add. Supposedly, they're going to release a digital half-frame camera with a 1-inch sensor. And so think of it like a digital version of the Pentax 17 half-frame film camera that came out recently. Wow. And believe it or not, that Pentax 17 is selling like hotcakes. So much so, they had to suspend the sales of it for a while. And Ryko is considering price increases on that camera, as it also works on increasing the production. Right now, that camera is $500. Half frame film camera, Pentax 17, $500. And they're selling so many, they may do a price adjustment in the upward direction, and they're trying to figure out how they can increase their production.
Oh my God!
So amazing.
Yeah.
And like they said, oh, and this new camera is going to have a sensor that they've never used on any other camera, and of course it's a 1-inch sensor. and they show an image on Fuji Rumors, but they admit that the image is not the real image of the camera. It's just an image of the Pentax camera, and then they renamed it to say, Fuji, blah, blah, blah. So there are no official photos for this new camera as of yet. So that's their big surprise. Totally new camera, totally new sensor, digital, but a digital half frame camera. Okay. I guess they figured, hey, Pentax was doing so good with their film version. Why not make a digital camera version? But it'll be really interesting to see if that sells.
Like the Nikon one.
Yeah. Now Canon Rumors, boy, they've got stuff going on, and I'm going to preface what I'm going to talk about with remember, and this is where people got to kind of stop doing this, okay? And you'll know what I mean in a second. People got to stop doing what they love to do, and that is to just beat the snot out of any camera brand that is not the one that they own.
Exactly.
Case in point, okay. How much attacks were made on Nikon when they had the problem with the lug straps on the camera bodies popping out, and David had to have his camera done twice. Did you ever get it back after the second time yet? I hope, David.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, actually, but my camera was less than a week, and Anita's was 2 weeks.
Okay. So everybody, beat the snot out of, how can Nikon put out such crap? They can't even get the lugs right, blah, 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 beating everybody up. And you know what, folks, you got to start thinking now it's the camera market is so competitive now. And unfortunately, because it's so competitive, these camera companies, in my opinion, all of them are rushing the products too much. Okay, they're as they say, they're not dotting the I's and they're not crossing the T's. And it doesn't matter if it's Fuji, because Fuji has problems with autofocus because of a firmware update they did. They got their issues. Nikon had their issues with the lugs. And Canon has their issues on their new EOS R5 Mark II. There's been a bunch of firmware problems with the camera. And Canon Rumors is even saying, okay, the launch, I'll read it verbatim from their site. I'm not going to make up the words. They say the launch of the EOS R5 Mark II has been somewhat of a mixed bag. There's been a lot of inventory issues outside the USA. Camera seems to have suffered from a bevy of bugs. Canon addressed some of those bugs with a recent firmware update, but there still seems to be more. One of the bugs plaguing the EOS R5 Mark II could be a big one. This report comes from a Canon EOS R5 Mark II owner at Gori, GORI.me, M-E. The owner had sent the camera to Canon after noticing jerky autofocus frame movement, and Canon replaced the rear multi-controller and other parts to address the issue. And they wrote back, regarding the issue you mentioned, autofocus frame movement is jerky. We have confirmed that this issue also occurs on the same model we own. We are currently checking the details, including whether there is workaround, so please wait a little longer. The owner then discovered that the issue with the jerky autofocus frame was not fixed, even after the service to replace parts once his custom settings were applied back into the camera. However, once the camera was reset to factory settings after the repair, the jerky autofocus frame issue appeared resolved, which wasn't the case before the repair. So Canon suggested this workaround to address the issue. Set the display frame rate to smoothness priority. Keep the information displayed on the TFT or the EVF to a minimum. or use the info button to switch to a display with less information or reduce the displayed information. It says, we don't know if this could potentially be an issue with all EOS R5 Mark II camera bodies or just a batch of cameras. So if you think the AF frame control isn't as smooth as you think it should be, give the workaround a try or reset the camera to factory settings to see if things improve. It may be one of those issues that could be overlooked. And the good news, question mark, it sounds like this issue could be fixed with a firmware update, and I would expect to see this issue addressed as soon as humanly possible from Canon, as Canon service has escalated the issue to the powers that be. Then they say, this is Canon Rumors saying this, we have reported Canon has another firmware update planned for this month, and I would expect this issue to be addressed soon. We have also confirmed that some multi-controller operations may not respond properly, so we are replacing the parts of the rear cover unit, including the multi-controller. So I'm not saying this to beat up on Canon. I'm saying this to make a point. These cameras have so much shit in them now. We all know they're like high-end computers. There's a lot of electronics in it. They are very, very, very complicated machines. So instead of beating up any brand when they have a problem, realize partly because of the competitive nature of the camera business and the rush to get your stuff out first, they're not dotting their I's and crossing their T's, but at the same time, this technology is crazy, crazy good and crazy, crazy complicated for all these brands. And you're going to have stuff like this that's going to happen unless they hit the brakes a little bit and take a little longer before they release their cameras. But no sense beating up on any brand, my friends, because every brand has had a problem or problems. And let's leave it at that and just hope that they can fix. They and any other camera brand can continue to fix and respond quickly when they have a problem and take care of their customers.
So are you talking about karma? Are you talking about karma?
I'm talking about cameras in general, any brand.
Karma.
Yeah. So be careful about karma. You know, always come back and get you, right? So that's kind of like the point I'm making. Now, exactly. The Canon EOS R1 is going to be available in November for $62.99 US dollars, and the camera is already in production at supposedly a rate of 3,700 units a month. And Canon Rumors have been told there will be a few changes to the software-related specifications of the camera, and that they will see a couple of new features being added to the final version of the camera. There are also going to be a few changes to the known feature list based on feedback from the past few months. And one photographer who has had their hands on the EOS R1 told us that the autofocus has seen steady improvement for certain situations, and there will be a bit more separation between the EOS R1 and the EOS R5 Mark II's autofocus capability when the R1 finally ships. So I guess the way they're wording it is the R1's autofocus is probably going to be a little bit better in some circumstances than the R5 Mark II, and then they'll have to wait to see if those improvements get pushed down into a firmware update for the R5 Mark II down the road. But there were no specifics given about the changes and improvements, but don't expect anything too groundbreaking. We suspect these changes will be more situational than broad stroke improvements to the camera. So, you know, hey, it is what it is. I hope they fix their stuff as soon as they can. And I'm sure in the end, you're going to have very, very happy Canon folks. And we hope that is the case for every brand of camera that's out there. We all spend good money for our cameras, regardless of brand. We obviously we expect them to be perfect out of the box, but when they're not, at least we expect a quick acknowledgement of a problem and not trying to pretend it's not there. And then we expect a quick response and a repair as soon as possible. Luis is in the chat. There in the Canon rumors information. Most of you guys, I'm sure, know who Jeff Bridges is.
Yeah.
Actor. Been around for a long time, and he is big into photography, and he has a company. And he has a company called Silver Bridges. They're looking to produce a slightly updated vintage version, aka meaning film, a vintage version of the wide panoramic camera. It's let me get it. I got a picture of it here, so I'm going to put that up on the screen. I got a screenshot of it, and I will share it on the screen here in a second. It's so that while I'm talking, you can look at it. If you remember it from the old days, the good old days.
Yes.
This is a wide lux film camera, and it was last made in Tokyo in the year 2000. So they're going to make an updated version of this camera. And what was interesting about this camera is the lens rotated in a circular turret, and you were able to do. I never had one of these. I've never used it, but supposedly it did great panoramic images. So it's
rolling shutter.
It'll be kind of cool if they do an update. It said the rotating lens it would rotate horizontally to capture panoramic images. The film gate was cylindrical to make this possible, and they had made 7 iterations of the wide lux during its lifespan. So the announcement from Silver Bridges, this is their announcement. Silver Bridges is reviving this iconic camera for 2025, and they're going to call it the Wide Lux X.
So, Roy, how much bigger than 35 was?
It still uses 35 film, but it uses a longer lens.
But because it was deployed in circular, correct? So how much beyond? I mean, it was 35 millimeter, basically the 24 millimeter in too tall, but it exposed it bigger than 35, correct?
Yeah, it basically it doesn't do a circular image. What it does is it exposes more length of the film.
Exactly, like
the lens actually runs across the film in a linear way rather than one image at a time.
And but that's what I tried to figure out.
So you don't have to stitch your images; they're already stitched.
Exactly, but it's like a frame and a half, correct?
Probably more than that.
Probably more.
Yeah. So they're going to stay true to the analog roots. It'll be purely mechanical, preserving everything that made the original great while incorporating sustainable manufacturing practices with modern durability and timeless charm. It's designed to last for generations, capturing stunning panoramic scenes for a new era of photographers. And they have a new Wide Lux website. It is up, and you can sign up over there for notifications about the project. So for those of you who, I mean, depending what the price point is, it could be an interesting option for some people.
It shouldn't be an expensive camera to make. It's a very simple lens and mechanism.
Yeah.
So Jeff, so you got something here to share. Not what I'm sharing, but first a little story and something perhaps for some people here to try. So on Thursday night, I attended in my local camera shop here, which is called Mice Camera. Okay, I attended a presentation by a Nikon ambassador called Christy Allen, which probably you guys know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So first she made a fantastic presentation. She lives now here in Denver, and she has several projects. uh, working with the Denver Zoo, and she's involved in several conservation. Um, uh, See, her presentation was fantastic. She's very passionate about what she does, but she passed along a trick which we may want. I want to try, Jeff, but I pass it along to you and some of you that do wildlife photography. You probably have experienced this problem. So, if you have more than one subject in your frame, correct? You have, yeah, and we can talk later about. If you have, let's say, two turkeys, correct? And she explained it with two bears, like what Dimuts was showing. And sometimes when you do the eye recognition, correct, it goes to one bird, but that may not be the one that is in the front, correct? So you have to go with a joystick and move it to the right place, correct?
Yeah.
Which is a peg in the neck. Well, apparently, or not apparently, I mean, she showed us there, and also the Nikon reps that were there in the menu. There is a setup that is called Switch Eye, right? So she has programmed that Switch Eye to one of the, I think she uses for the back focus button, right?
Okay, so she programmed it to either a function button or another button to do it
Exactly.
automatically.
And what it does is that if you have two turkeys, not the case that we have here, correct? It jump from one to the other, or if you have three, so it's easier than the joystick because you keep pressing and it keep jumping until you get the one that you want to have. Let's say the front. I experienced that problem multiple times, even recently when I was in Iceland, correct? But it is definitely an issue because sometimes you want a specific one, correct? Certainly, if you have several animals, the one that is in front is typically the one that you want to be in focus. You can tolerate a little bit, but she uses that choosing eye as a way of going through that. So that would be something to try, Jeff, if you can. Correct.
Yeah, what I sometimes end up doing if it's not going where I want it, I just do it the old-fashioned way, and I switch to single-point autofocus,
Exactly.
and I move it onto the bird that I want, and I do it
Exactly.
that way.
But you can imagine that system is much better, correct? Because it's quicker to clicking until you get the bird that you want, and then you press your shutter. So I think it was I thought about passing it along because I think I haven't programmed it yet on my C8 and C9, but it's certainly something that can work, correct? So that's the beauty of attending some of those meetings. You always learn something apart from being inspired with what she does. So I probably mentioned a couple of other things um, that she mentioned there. Not so much technique, but some of the projects that she's involved, and her imagery was fantastic, right? And they were the Nikon reps, so fantastic presentation. So again, Jeff, the beauty of having a local shop that is still working, they can have meetings and that kind of stuff, right? So please keep supporting your local camera stores because we need them. We don't want them to disappear completely.
Yeah, too many of them have gone by the wayside, unfortunately.
So this is one that I'm sharing here. Sorry, guys. So let's quickly go through. So this is actually from this week. These guys have they're around my area, but I haven't seen them for quite a while. And I think it was on Tuesday. I went early in the morning to get some breakfast sandwiches, and I was coming back close to my house. These guys, there were like about 30 of these guys. So I came in, gave the breakfast sandwiches to my wife, and I said, "Let me go out." And I went out again, and they were still there. So I managed to get. Actually, they were in my property this afternoon, but the light was not as good as this early in the morning. Right. So I managed to get some good photos here of these guys. So as usual, I share. So this is from this week. As you can see again, this is taken uh, with the 600 uh, 6.3 PF, okay? From the car, so you can see it's this lens is still, if I need to do something quick like that, that's the one that I will grab.
Luis is asking if did they show you where changing that eye that feature is in where is it in the menu system of the camera? Do you
No,
know?
they showed me, but I didn't recall it was part of the menu. So Luis, unfortunately, you have to go through the system and until you find it, or probably you can go to the manual and do a search for. I think it's called switch eye setting.
I'll look for it while you're talking.
So anyway, so this is something that happened this week. So early in the morning, a couple of good shots in between trying to shot for the aurora. These guys show up here, and these are ugly but beautiful at the same time, correct?
Yeah, and it's appropriate considering that before you know it, we'll be eating one of those.
Exactly. But you can see the level of detail. So I think, and let me get here so I can tell you that I think this was taken with the Z9 at 600 millimeters, 6.3, fully open, 6.3, 1/640, minus 1 EV. The light was kind of tricky, and ISO 250.
Yeah, looks nice.
Yeah.
Soft background.
Yes, off background. Right? So I love this lens for sure. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. You always have your camera ready, and if you see the opportunity, go back again and take some more pictures. I
How
mean,
many of you guys, David? You've done a question on. You guys have done. I'm sure some of you guys have done time lapse photography, right?
Yeah.
You what do you typically space your shots apart in terms of time for what you do?
I've been doing it out of the night sky, and I have just 5 or 6 seconds, and because when my exposure was longer than a second, if I had it at 5 seconds, the picture review didn't have enough time to come up, so I could tell if the camera was working or not. Whereas at 6 it did, but it just flashed. And so I would rather have something than nothing. But it's, and I've been doing that mainly on my Z8, and what I'll do is I'll use remote power when I do it so that things don't cancel out. But at the same time, if you touch any of the buttons on your camera, it'll the time lapse will stop, and it'll close the file, so then you can start over again. But the other thing with time lapse is you cannot change your exposure once the time lapse starts. And so what I've been doing is using aperture priority, and so that the shutter speed will change by itself. And because I can't get in there to do it because the camera won't let me, because it disables everything.
I
Do
understand.
you enable where it has that feature? It says focus before each shot, and then you can select to turn that off. Do you leave that on or off?
I turn it off.
So David, I guess you can do also that with auto ISO, correct? Because
I assume you could do it that way too.
I have seen this. I know I seen this actor photographer from Australia. He likes to photograph sometimes time lapse between dark and sunrise, and sunset to sunrise, and apparently he uses the auto ISO so that he can capture like the time lapse. I haven't done that many time lapse, but I'm inclined to try some of that stuff. So anyway, guys, I wanted to share. So this is one of these guys are coming. They are not yet food. They're not breeding. They were calling, but they are not displaying. It's too early for them. So hopefully they will hang around, and maybe we get. I get to observe and photograph these guys a lot more.
Yeah, so far I have been unable to find where you can switch the eyes. I wonder if that's only works on certain model cameras
Might be
too.
just Z8 and Z9.
Yeah, I think she used it as nine.
Someone spoke to me about that a while ago, and
Yeah.
I think it may be only in the upper ends.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at everything on the Z9 right now.
And she showed it. She had two bears, like when they were kind of going at each other, and then she was switching between the two.
I know it can do it. A button can switch between faces more than eyes.
Exactly.
But,
But anyway, I mean,
I don't
as I
remember it.
said, I haven't programmed my.
You probably have to program a button to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
She actually, there was a big discussion because the whole discussion about back focusing, correct? And I used to do that, but since I have since I moved back to this C9, correct? I went back to the old time where the shutter also do the autofocus, correct? And she actually had done the same. So no more back button focusing. It's just regular shutter focusing.
I like back button focus. It gives you more control.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I used to do it. That was the technique that I used for many years, Roy. But I now reverted back and where she was telling that she used to be like that, but she apparently sometimes what happened, and she does a lot of you know takes a lot of people on safaris and places like that. Like many of the photographers, half of their living is taking people to places to do some photography. That the action of sometimes pressing the back button for focusing sometimes make the people not be as steady. But anyway, so it's a technique, but it becomes less. Apparently, a lot of people are coming back not to use that anymore.
Well,
I'm not one of them.
the reason I like using it is because I like to capture the bird with a wider area first, like either white area small or white area large, and then once you know that it's you see the smaller box on the eye, then I push on my shutter halfway on my shutter release button, and it's 3D tracking, and then it follows it,
Exactly.
and then I take the picture.
Yeah. That the hybrid technique, but the with the latest update on the C9 and the C8, I tell you, I use it less that hybrid technique than before because it goes and recognize the eye very quickly. So anyway, I just pass it along. We will just look at it. I think we will find it when I find it. We post it on the next show.
Yeah, I went through the menu quickly and the custom controls and stuff like that, and under focus, under focusing,
Yes.
and I didn't see anything, but
I write her an email. I think or leave a message on her website. But I mean, it was really wonderful what she did for us here in Denver.
Like I said, I remember something about them switching subjects, but I just can't remember how I did it now.
well, I mean, in the old days, they told you you had to use the D-pad and you had to move it that way.
Exactly.
You had to,
Too slow.
and then you could do it, but it wasn't. Yeah, it isn't always quick enough.
Exactly.
And then what if you have three birds in the picture?
Exactly. And it was a pain because the whole composition. You have the one in the front is not the one that the autofocus select. Wow, that is it can make I mean, it doesn't make the photo to look good. Anyway,
say goodnight. I'm going to say goodnight to Jeff and Leslie, unless they've already gone. They're taking off, and Robert Daniels is in the house now, saying good morning to us. So good morning to you, sir. And let's see. Yeah, the reason I asked about time lapse is I took a picture of it on my ZF, and I haven't sucked it into my computer yet, and I don't even know the name of it. I went to we have Brook Green Gardens down here, which is a combination of flora and fauna and a lot of sculptures, large outdoor sculptures and multiple buildings that have smaller sculptures in them. And but anyway, they had one of those unique lily that I think only blooms for like a day.
Whoa.
And so I get there, and one of the people that worked there said, "Oh, you want to get over there and get a picture of that lily? It's blooming right now." And literally by the time we found it, it had already started to close up and not look quite as beautiful as you would like it to be. But what was interesting is, like most, I love taking pictures of water lilies, and the leaves that surround them, are usually, fairly large and flat. And for this particular species of lily, which I don't, if Bob was still on here, he knows the name of it. I don't remember the name of it, but it'll have multiple pods, that are ready to bloom, but they don't all bloom at the same time. And it's almost like a timing thing where, like, the people that were there have been going there like every day, and a whole bunch of people. And it's like, okay, so once one of them blooms and then it closes up and it dies, there might only be 2 or 3 blooms that you could have. And there's like a delay. So then when the one dies, it's either 2 or 3 days later when the other one will open up. So they're all trying to calculate, if you come back on, I think we were there Thursday or something, and they says, if you come back at Saturday, maybe around 5 o'clock, we figured that might be when the other one opens up, and I saw pictures of somebody had taken a whole bunch of pictures and all the phases of when it first opened up, and then I think it was yellow, and then it turned red, had more red in it, and then it closes up and it dies. And she had the whole sequence of the life cycle of this lily. And what's interesting is the leaf part. The leaf isn't flat. I mean, it's huge. It's a huge diameter, and there were only like 3 of them surrounding this lily. Very, very large in diameter, and it actually had a lip on it. Like a pizza tray. Like if you went to Pizza Hut and they're making you a pizza, and you got the tray that they cook the pizza in, and it has that 1 inch or 1.5 inch lip on it, and that's what these leaves look like. And the lady,
That's the one that has the leaf has little spikes as well in the flat part.
On the underside of the leaf, it has spikes in it. Yeah.
So one thing I recommend that is that David Attenborough, Life of Plants. Watch that if you have access to some of those.
Yeah.
Watch Life of Plant when they talk about that particular lily, how that lily, they do time lapse not only for the flowering, but that lily fight other aquatic plants for the space. Right? It's a fantastic, and in many of the David Attenborough documentary, there is a short couple of minutes after the episode that shows how they photograph those time lapse sequences, and that's very interesting from the photographic point of view. So
that's why I asked about time lapse, in case the problem is there. You can't bring a tripod.
Exactly.
Okay? You might be able to bring a monopod and get away with it. I got the monopod with the feet at the bottom. I might be able to get away with that. I think I could. I've brought it there before, and nobody ever made me take my monopod down. But it would be difficult. But that's why I'm asking, because if I got there and the timing was right, that would be an incredible thing to capture a time lapse of it opening up and changing colors and then closing up and all that kind of thing. But
Yeah, the secret. I'm going to check it just to that I pass the right thing. I think it's either The Secret Life of Plants, but it is a worthwhile documentary, correct? But in particular, talk about that. And actually, to make that sequence, Jeff, they build a whole studio with a pond so that they can keep the light for days, because they wanted not only to photograph the blooming, which probably can be done in a day or two, but they wanted to photograph the competition, how the different plants fight for the pond. So I think I'm going to check. By the way, Jeff, I'm sharing here. So this is the photographer that I was mentioning that make the presentation. Since I probably, with my accent, sometimes you guys don't understand what I'm talking about. So this is the name of the ambassador, Christy Allen, correct? She lives now here in Denver, and it was fantastic. Look at that photo, Jeff. I think she photographed this in Australia. It's of one of those, not a basking shark, but the whale shark.
whale shark. Okay.
Yeah. So you can imagine that.
Yeah, I've watched a few. I've watched a few of her videos, and of course, I think she's done some small. I think she's done some. I think she was involved with providing some video footage when the Z9 was being introduced.
Yes, that's correct.
If I remember right, she had. I think she was filming some kind of very small. I don't want to call it a mouse, but something bigger than a mouse. But it was. I think she was filming something that was.
She has been doing some projects here with some beetles here with the Denver Zoo, and think she has been photographing some bees in Bolivia, and also doing some. I think it was some picas here, but you can see. I mean, she's a good speaker, so I did enjoy the time. So go and visit, and then you can see some of those photos. But she was the one that passed that recommendation, and I think Robert R. Found it.
Well, he says he thinks it's something you program in custom controls.
Okay, probably yes.
So yeah, I kind of went in custom controls quickly, but I didn't want to screw up my own camera, so I didn't start going through all the choices. But yeah, maybe that would be a good place to look. I kind of went in there and I said, well, I'm not, we're trying to do the show at the same time. I said,
exactly.
I'm not going to go through all the choices in the custom control menu, but yeah, that does make sense where it's probably buried in there.
Yes.
And Tim's mentioning, well, we just kind of mentioned that she was part of the Z9 launch. And oh yeah, Maz says he interviewed her for Vahagen's channel when she was there in California.
Yes.
And for those of you who may not know, who follow Vahagen, obviously he had been MIA for I don't know months, I guess. And the other day I saw something popped up on my YouTube feed where he was announcing that he was going to be coming back, and then I think he actually had some content on something today that came out. So it appears that he is back in business again. So if you have missed his content, then he is creating new content, and you can visit his channel. So, as a public service announcement from this channel to his channel is he's back, and he's going to be putting stuff out, and you know.
Yeah, and talking about Christy again, see, if she show up in one of my cameras in California, or if you know that she's coming to your town, go and attend the presentation. It was like an hour and a half, but it was very. She's very entertaining and a good speaker, correct? And the photos were wonderful. And a time to engage with an ambassador, and there were a couple of the Nikon reps as well. So I did ask about the pre-capture raw, of course.
and they gave you a very vague answer where they just said we're looking into it.
I actually put her on the spot because I say, "Hey, Christy, how much do you really want to have pre-capture raw?" Because I know she wants it to. So
yeah. Just take her arm and put it behind her back and start.
Exactly. Well, they have to listen, correct?
You just keep twisting her arm and you say, "Now, Christy, say it, so we can record it. Say it."
Exactly.
Say it. No, I can't say it. No, I can't do it.
Don't run so many specials. Just give us what we want.
So Robert's trying to work with Louise and tell him where it is. It's in the custom menu, and it's between the recall, focus position, and cycle autofocus area mode.
Okay.
In the custom menu settings.
You see, this is what we do here.
And David sent me a link here to his After Dark.
It's the bottom 7 in the album, and they are unretouched. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So
we can start at the bottom and go forward then.
yeah, well, we got some images here from David that we'll share. You guys are making me work tonight. I don't like this stuff, man. I'm supposed to be like gearing down.
Well, cut the show of an hour shorter. You're down that way.
No, that doesn't change my effort I have to do pre-show. I've done my due diligence, I think, at this point. Let me get us there. And let me get rid of the message here. So there's one.
And this one was looking west. And that's Sylvan Lake, the town of. And it's over the lake. And this was shot with my Laowa. If it's the camera, it's got to be on my Laowa because I had a problem with my cinema that night, so I didn't focus it well enough. But you can see the clouds in the sky and how the aurora is lighting up the clouds from behind.
So let me. Is that a duck?
Magpie.
Crow.
Crow.
I'm being invaded.
I'm gonna try to find the next one here. Let me get rid of this. Why I got a lot of stuff open on my screen right now.
And that's a problem. That's the same problem that we're having, switching between things. Let me see if I can find that documentary, Jeff. So I give people.
I'm gonna randomly pick some, David, here because we're getting near the end of the show.
Okay, that works too.
But we will pick one that has some different color in it here, and share this one. I think
This one was shot looking south.
yeah, the when you get the effect of like light rays coming down, that's just so unearthly. That's just really, really, really cool.
And this was the 10 millimeter Laowa.
So what do you do? Just focus to infinity?
Yeah. Well, when your focal length is 10 millimeters.
Yeah, 10 millimeters. If you just stop it down enough, everything's going to be in focus anyway.
Well, I'm shooting wide open, but
Yeah.
If you're focused on something 100 meters away, everything's in focus. But I actually focus on the stars. But I was surprised with that. Is you can't focus beyond infinity. It only lets you go to it, which is not normal for a lot of lenses. So.
And then you got, let's see, we'll randomly pick another one here. I like randomly picking stuff. Random is good.
Randall
is good. Random is good.
Oh, wow.
And this is the same direction as the first one. Yeah, it's just a different time.
Wow.
Things are changing fast.
So is it always a green light or color?
No, the last one had red in it.
Yeah, but then it turned to green. So.
Well, it went from red to green. But
now,
different colors.
Is this color at all dependent upon where you are in the country, or is it strictly just strictly random because of the magnetic field, right?
No, it's had to do with the ionization of different elements, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I think red is oxygen and green is nitrogen, depending on which one gets ionized.
And see, this has some red in it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, down in here. Yeah.
And the other one from the previous corona mass ejection that you showed me, David, that was impressive. That has some yellows as well. I mean, it's
yeah, I'll show one more where he has the other colors in it, and then so we did. Trying to think of which one we did. I think that's the one we showed.
So it had to do with the elements, Jeff. But I don't know exactly. I think there is a correspondence, and depending on the energy, also with the elements that gets in that that interact with the. You see, it has some red and green. Beautiful. What can I say?
These are unretouched photos, like they're straight out of camera.
And you can see the start, David.
Yeah.
Here you can see the stars.
Yeah.
Unlike the video.
Yeah. But you notice it's hard to see the stars through the aurora.
Yes.
It's only when there's no aurora.
Yeah.
And I have my exposure set for the aurora. And sometimes you can't see the stars and sometimes you can.
Yeah, really cool. See, now we know that's like David. David's never home. He's always in his vehicle or in his camper. He doesn't want to leave this view, you know.
You see, David, actually, Christy was mentioning the same thing that I have happened to me. I'm more of a morning person, okay? So for me to do this night photography doesn't jive with my clock, correct? Because I prefer to wake up, go early to bed, and go very early in the morning.
Well, I'm more of a morning person too, but nothing saying your morning can't start at 2.
Exactly. So I found it, Jeff. So if you share there the documentary from David Attenborough called, as you can see there when you display, it's called "The Private Life of Plants."
Private
It's,
life plans.
I think it's a 4 or 5 episodes, and they if you find it in PBS or in Amazon, particularly the Flame for free, it's worthwhile watching. But they talk about the time lapse on that particular uh, lady that you see. But it's amazing because there's a lot of time lapse. You can see how the actual plants fight with each other. Correct.
Well, what
For,
was interesting is they had it in a, they had, like, let's just say, a brick wall, and then they had water in there, and they had a statue, and they had some moving water, bubbling water or whatever. And
exactly.
usually it's filled with a large variety of lilies, but although all those other species have basically died that were in there, so all the competition was removed. So
Exactly.
the only one in there now is that one particular species.
And they show how it's done. It's all sort of, you know, it's a warfare under the water
But,
there.
I just freaked out at the leaves not being flat. The leaves coming up, and the lady there. I says, "How did you get a picture of the underside of it with the thorns?" And she says, "Well, they're always pruning everything and cleaning everything up. So they removed one of those from the water. They cut it off, I guess, the plant."
Exactly.
And so she was there, and she had the guy, hold it up, hold it up. So she's looking at the bottom of it, and the light, some good light was shining through, and you could see all the large, what looks like veins, in the leaf,
Yeah.
and then you could see the thorns sticking out of it.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Well, look for that video. You're going to enjoy it. I guarantee you. One of those times that you have your
My fix of nature.
exactly when you need a little bit of inspiration from nature. Watch that one. It's fantastic.
The let's see if I have. Since I'm not going to look at the results of the voting, folks, if you vote while when the show turns off in a few minutes and I go to bed, I won't know that you voted late. I'll see it when I wake up.
Exactly. But do vote. Do vote.
But do vote, because I don't want to have to do the wheel of misfortune and spin that wheel to pick the 3 images. So
I'd hate to tell you this, but Gustavo's picture got 15 votes and only 4 people voted. So I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's I may do, this time I'll do a calendar for November. Whether I do any more after that, I don't know, because like I said, when we're showing sometimes 80, sometimes even 90 pictures, and
Renaming.
if you only have 8 or 9 people voting, and you have that many images that you're trying to pick from, you're just going to have everything with a 1 on it.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, And I think maybe some people didn't want to vote because we always said that we weren't going to make a contest out of it.
Exactly.
And maybe some people felt we were making a contest out of it and they didn't want to get involved and vote. I don't know the reasons why people might not have voted on it, but it's if you haven't voted and you want to do so, Gustavo in the comments put down the timeline where we just show all the images like 1 through 69, so you don't have to watch the whole show.
Exactly.
You can go to that point in the timeline, and then you're only watching it for 5 minutes, and then you can pick out what you like, so you don't have to watch the whole show.
Yeah, I was puzzled. Exactly what you said, Jeff. That if we don't have that many people participating, we're going to have a sample of one for each of the photos. Yeah, because I noticed that David has put a number that was is like different from mine, but just by one number. I say maybe I made a mistake. No, just out of the one that I wrote, like I don't know. They say a number 18. He liked 19. I like 57. He liked 58. So
well, David sent me like 15 emails with 15 different sets of numbers.
exactly. So he voted for everybody.
Yeah, we didn't want to insult anybody, so we made sure everybody got one vote.
No, what I did is I used 15 different email addresses and voted for Gustavo.
Exactly. So anyway, it was fun.
Anyway, we've hit our time slot here. So I'm going to just thank everybody on the panel that came. Sorry that I had to share what for some people might have been bad news at the beginning of the show, but rest assured that we will have a meeting in the second week of November, and we'll have a discussion. And Chuck seems to be. He made a comment before the show that he's going to try really hard to maybe be able to pick up the ball and try to do the show for a while. But, nothing's set in stone yet. And there will be discussions in November. And when we come up with a plan of what's going to happen, we will share it with everybody. But rest assured, there will be something that happens so that people can still continue to get together. Whether it be Saturday night or another night, I don't know. We haven't had any talks yet at all, other than throwing a few ideas out, throwing stuff on the wall to see what sticks type of thing. And we got a lot more discussion to do. But I thank all of you folks for your support during the time that I've done this. You're going to have to suffer with me until the end of the year, at which time you might be more than happy for me to go anyway. But we will try to have a good time between now and the end of December, and next thing you know, hey, we got Halloween coming up, man. So we might get some interesting, strange images for Halloween. You never know, that we can share in the November photo review, possibly, if you get some interesting folks in costumes and makeup. You might want to capture some of them. And let's see.
Yeah, I just want to address the comment that Robert R. made. If the KP is 5 or higher, look overhead and south, because especially if your BZ is negative -10 or something like that, it'll push it quite a way south. And overhead is fairly common.
But I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Join us next week. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate everybody on the panel. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy Saturday night. I know it's, it's an inconvenience, I'm sure, many a time. Your spouse wants to do something different, and you're like, no, I got a job to do. So we appreciate everybody who comes in here, and we hope that I hope that everybody has gotten something out of the show and has learned something, and And then we still have a few more photo reviews in us that we can enjoy each other's images for a while. And we'll leave it at that. And good night, everybody. Have a good week of shooting coming up. Get out there and take some pictures and have a good time. And I'll say my good nights, and I'll let everybody else in here say their good nights.
Bye.
Well,
Mike.
don't forget to hit that like button. Yeah.
But,
Jeff needs the likes.
no, I said I'm going to add another button that says the good riddance button. You can hit the good riddance button. But